Yeah. So yesterday, I had an appointment to go look at a house. And while I was out, it's always like my common practice. When I go on an appointment, I always have Deal Machine open. And I'm just like, if I see a house, I open it up. If it's still distressed, I typically find out who the owner is and I try to call. And this is not a plug for Deal Machine. I've always been super impressed with the accuracy of the information that's in here because I'm parked 2 houses down from the house I went to look at. And there's a house that you could see it had a very distressed roof. It hadn't been maintained. And so I looked it up. I seen the owner's name. I first called that and it was a disconnected number. Then I swiped and it gave another name. And they had the same last name. So I'm like, well, I'll call it. Within 2 rings, the guy answers it. And it was actually his uncle that owned the house. When he passed away, he deeded it down to his dad. His dad passed away, so now he had the deed. He's like, I live in Indianapolis, actually. That was crazy. And he's like, I live in Indianapolis and I don't know St. Joe at all. I've never been there. I've got this house. And I'm like, well, have you seen this house? He's like, no, I don't know anything about it. I just know that it was left to me. And I explained to him, I'm like, look, this thing is in pretty dire need. Like the roof is caving in. You've got broken out windows. It looks like it's being vandalized. You probably want to do something with it now versus waiting for it to catch on fire and it be completely ruined. And so I just asked him, I said, do you want to sell it? He's like, I have no need for it at all. And so we agreed. He had to look into some information on like how his dad deeded it to him and who's got what so that he can agree to sell it. But it was just crazy because sometimes you feel like it's really hard to go get a deal, but then you go and you check out a house on an appointment and you see another house down the street. And because of the information I had on my phone and the availability to the information I had on my phone, I was able to make a connection right away. And that sounds like right now we're headed down the path of getting a good deal, and it's a good house in a great location. And so that was just a really exciting moment. And what makes it even better, I had one of my best friends in the car with me who was asking questions about like, what do I need to do to get interested in real estate? How do I start wholesaling, or what should I do to do a burr? And so he was witnessing all of that. And his response to that call was also pretty funny because he's like, it was that easy. You made one phone call, you got a hold of a guy, he wants to sell it, and now it sounds like you're a couple days away from having a deal under contract. And so that was just a really cool experience to be able to do that in front of him, but also just, again, having that information in the palm of your hand is a humongous tool.
That's a cool story. Thanks for sharing.
You bet.
Thanks for listening to the Deal Machine Real Estate Investing Podcast. Please leave us a review and follow along wherever you're listening to your podcast.